Hey everyone, my name is Vel here at Science Toy, and welcome back to another video. Today I have a story for you all. So I think it was back in January, I had won a scholarship to attend a online coding class from Silicon STEAM Academy. STEM Academy, I always forget which one it is. I'm used to saying STEAM, but it's Silicon STEM Academy. So I was really excited because, for those of you who don't know, I'm homeschooled. And anytime my mom says, oh, you should go, apply for this or try to go do this contest, the first thing I look for is, can homeschoolers participate? Because a lot of times homeschoolers can't participate, or we're allowed to participate, but we don't get chosen for stuff. So I immediately check for that, and also, am I old enough? That's the second thing I always check for, because it's one of the two. Either I have to be in a public school, or I'm not old enough. And to my surprise, I was both. I was old enough and homeschoolers could participate. And I won the scholarship to attend a coding class. And I was so happy because, like I said, usually homeschoolers aren't allowed to do certain things, or it's just very selective. So I was just really excited that I was able to do this coding class. Now, in 2015, I have done a little bit of programming, but I got a little burnt out because I could program things, but I didn't know why they worked. And if they didn't work, I didn't know why. So I could either sometimes do the programming or not, but I wouldn't know how to fix it or why it even worked. I was just like, yay, it worked, but why? So I was really excited to take the coding class. And let's see, I think it was Tuesdays and Thursdays. And it was the second week of January all the way up until the first week of February. So it was 30 days. And it wasn't every day, like I said, it was Tuesdays and Thursdays, but either way, I was so excited, I couldn't wait for it to happen. So Tuesday comes, and it is, let's see, it was going to be at 7, I believe, or was it 8? It was 2 months ago, but, because I remember there was a time, but then they moved it later. Right, so I think it was at 7, so we had to get there 10 minutes early, and it was actually on Zoom. Like I said, it was online, and I had never used Zoom before, so I had to go, figure out how to set up Zoom, and I just sat there waiting. I was so excited, I just kept smiling, and afterwards my cheeks were hurting because I was smiling so much. But, so I got my classroom code, and I went to the website CodeHS, which is, I believe it's Code High School, and that's where we were learning our coding. And we were using Carol. And it is K-A-R-E-L. So it's not Carl like I thought it was, it's Carol. And it is a dog, which does come into play a little bit later. So, got in class, and my instructor from Silicon STEM Academy was John. So, hi John if you're watching. And he was great. It was really fun being in his classroom. So we got the first day, he said, okay, so everyone introduce themselves, where are you from? And I don't know why, it was on the application, but I totally forgot that everyone was in Colorado. I'm used to being the only one from Colorado doing anything, really. Being the only, techie person or nerd into STEAM or STEM. But everyone was from a certain part of Colorado, so even though it doesn't matter for what we were learning, it just felt really cool because when it comes to techie things, we don't have a lot of stuff here that I could find anyway. I've been to several STEAM events, and they were just sometimes a little bit below my level. Either I already knew what it was, or was for, hey, if you're interested, but not sure which field you want to go into, you can come here. Or they're complete rip-offs. You would pay for a ticket, and we get there. There was one event where me, my dad, my brother went to an event. We paid for it, and we got there, did a 2-minute walk through something, and it was cool. We saw some dinosaurs, and everything else was paid. It was not included in our ticket whatsoever. And we just left because it was overpriced. So it was just really cool that we had something here that was not a ripoff, I was old enough for, and I was homeschooler and could participate. And let me tell you, just spoiler, it was really fun. So, like I said, it was just really cool that everyone was from Colorado, because I'm not used to that. I'm really not. So, we broke the ice, what part of Colorado are you from? What's your name? And I'm an introvert, so I had actually spoke up a lot in this class, because you kind of have to a little bit if you have questions, or John would ask you questions and, expect an answer. And there were several times when he would ask a question and there'd just be utter silence. No one would say anything. And I would know the answer, but sometimes there's been times when I know the answer, but I want to give other people a chance. I don't want to be the person who's like, yes, me, me. So I tried to give everyone else a chance, but it was just too awkward. And at the time I was like, you know what? I know the answer. I'm gonna say it. No one's saying anything. I gave him a chance. I tried. So I would just go ahead and say, yes, this is the answer. And he said, all right, there we go. And let's see, the first couple weeks we had, I think it was 4 weeks, and the first 3 days, so it was not 3 days in a row because it's Tuesdays and Thursdays. So Tuesday, Thursday, and then the next Thursday, so that's what I'm saying, 3 days. 3 or 4 days, the stuff we were learning, I had already knew due to my prior experience in 2015. But I decided to be the good student and not jump ahead, because the first day we learned was how to move Carol, the dog, forward. And interestingly enough, Carol can't turn right. Carol can only turn left. And part of me was thinking, but you're a program. Someone programmed you. Why did they program you to turn right? That's actually part of the challenge, is you have to use that to your advantage. It's kind of like, it's not a handicap, but it's more of like not a hindrance, but it was like, hey, you know this thing you're used to doing, you know, move forward, move back, move left, move right. We're gonna take one of those away so if you can still program correctly. Which I thought that was kind of cool. I hadn't seen that before. I'm used to, you know, always being able to turn, you know, left, right, up and down, or some say back and forward instead of up and down. So if we wanted to turn right, we had to turn left 3 times. So Carol faces this way. And you turn left, you go like this. You want to turn left or go right, which is down here technically. Since she's on a 2D plane, she has to go this way, and then she goes this way. So that was kind of fun. And if you know a little bit of programming, you're probably thinking, do you use repeat blocks? Well, excuse me, I said blocks. That was the other difference. We weren't using blocky code. And Carol isn't JavaScript. It's close to JavaScript, or was it Java? I get those two confused sometimes. But it's close to JavaScript. It's not exact JavaScript, though. So we weren't using blocky code, which for those who don't know is just basically take the code of a language and make it to drag and drop blocks. That's really all it is. So it wasn't that. We were actually typing the code, which is a little different, but I like doing that anyway. So I was like, okay, this is cool. And for those who are wondering, yes, we actually did repeat some stuff. And I always go there. If I immediately see somewhere, they say, oh, you need to turn left 3 times, you need to move forward. If I have to do an action more than once, immediately my brain goes, repeat. You need to repeat it. But of course, when you're you know, that early on, they don't tell you to repeat yet. So I just sit there and wait and just go along with it for now. So I thought about skipping ahead since I did know the first few things, but like I said, I just had to be a good student and just follow along. And we actually got to a point where I didn't know something, which was great. I was hoping I wouldn't be another one of those things where I got there thinking I would learn something new and I wouldn't, but I did, and I was so happy about that. Because I've been to some events where I thought I would learn something new, and it turns out I've already done it, or did something similar, and it's just kind of the same concept. So that was nice, and plus this was a pre-JavaScript class, but there were some things I knew I couldn't do on my own. For example, in 2015, I made a rock, paper, scissors game. But if you asked me to make it now, I completely blank. I wouldn't even know really where to start. And that's what the problem was. I had gotten to that level, and I could do it, I just don't remember. And I couldn't, you know, I didn't keep the information. Plus, that was 2015, it's 2018, that's quite a bit ago. And I didn't keep skill up, so when we got to the repeat section, it was not blocky code. So that's where I actually couldn't remember how to explain it to myself. Because usually I try to use analogies so I can remember some things, especially when I'm teaching other people. So when it came to repeat stuff, I was like, I don't know how to explain this. I know repeat stuff, but you know, for var I equals 0, semicolon, I plus plus 0, semicolon. I was like, English please, what? So John actually explained it, and I think I have it written down somewhere. Because sometimes certain things I have to see on screen to fully grasp it sometimes. Usually I learn by hearing, but I can also be very visual as well. But either way, he explained it to me and everyone else, because there was about 10 of us. There's supposed to be a little more, but there's about 10 of us. And he explained it to where I completely got it. And we learned about, so that was the for loop. A for loop is if you want it to be very precise and you know exactly what you want. We learned about while loops, which is, you know, you're not really sure how many times you want Carol to repeat this function, but you just know that Carol has to repeat it if this function is true. We also went into if and else statements. I knew if and else statements, but I didn't know about if statements. And when John first explained it to me, well, not me, I say me because it's my perspective, but explained it to us as the whole classroom, I was thinking to myself, why would you use an if statement when you can just use an if-else statement? For those who don't know, I'm using like code terms. If you don't know what this is, it might be a little confusing. But if-else statements basically checks if a condition is true, and if it is true, then do this action. If it's not true, do this other action. That's if-else. If statements just check if it's true and you do something. You have no alternative. That's what the else is. So I was thinking, don't you always want to do an alternative thing? Turns out you don't always want to do that. Sometimes you just want Carol to stop if the condition is not true and not do something else. So I was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense, because I hadn't learned if statements at all. I just knew it was similar to if-else statements, just without the else. So that was definitely fun, and for our last week, I was so sad it was last week, we did Carol challenges. And one of my classmates actually skipped ahead a little, and I was like, I knew I should have skipped ahead, but it was so fun to follow along with John and the others and ask questions, and the few awkward silence moments that we had when he asked questions saying, hey, can anyone tell me this? And no one would say anything. It was about me and 3 other people who would actually say something, out of the 10 people. But we got the challenges, like I said, one of my classmates had already did something, and so we got the challenges, and the first one was easy, kind of expected that. Second one, a little challenging, got past that, and the third one, I was a little stuck, and that was cool. And you're thinking, why would it be cool? Because it's great not to know everything. It means that someone else can help you along. Now, me, I'm a very self-taught person and very independent. I will go find the answer instead of asking someone. I only ask someone if I can't find the answer after Googling, going to forums, and all that other stuff. So, being self-taught, even though I did code back in 2015, I was self-taught. I'm homeschooled, but neither of my parents know code. My mom understands code, but when she did coding, it was for a different company, and they used their own made-up language, not, Python or C# or anything like that. So I had to teach myself code. So it's really awesome that I got to learn from someone else who knew more than me, and they could teach me and help me. Yes, I probably could have went to Google, but the whole point of the class was to learn from someone. So it was great that I got stuck, because it meant that I was learning something new. It meant that I didn't know everything. And that's sometimes the problems I face with some of the prior coding classes I've gone to, is that I would know how to do most things that were there. I still had fun doing it because, hey, I got out of the house and interacted with some people, even though I'm an introvert. But it's great because I got to learn something new. And basically what we were doing was Carol had to, and remember I said it's actually him being a dog would come in handy? Well, we also had to come in to place tennis balls and take tennis balls. So for this challenge, and we couldn't get to all of them because this was our last day, sadly, but the challenge was that Carol had different worlds. Some worlds were 3x3, which I mean is 3 rows long and 3 tall. Some were 10x20. And they were all varying. So we had to write code to basically what I like to call making Carol sentient. Basically, she can think for herself, kind of. So Carol had to fill the whole box or the whole rows with tennis balls. So she had to know if there's a ball there, go ahead and not place a ball. If there's a ball there, just leave it. If there's not a ball, place a ball. And that's the thing. It was scattered throughout the... Oh, no, we didn't have to place balls. We had to take the balls. My bad. I'm thinking about a different challenge. So we had to take the balls, and they weren't all in a row. It would be like... ball, ball, nothing, nothing, ball, nothing, ball. So we had to tell her to basically think, okay, there's a ball here, I need to take it. If there's not a ball, just keep moving. If there's a wall, she had to turn all the way back and go back to the start and move up a row and continue. So she was basically doing this kind of motion. But remember, each world is different. We even had one world that was 1 thick and really tall. So meaning that she couldn't go horizontal, she could only go vertical. But we had to make it so she would know what she was doing. So I made code, I made functions, and for those who don't know, function is basically, it's kind of like when your parents say, put up the dishes. You know put up the dishes mean that take it from the dishwasher or the sink or wherever you store your dishes and put them where they're supposed to go. Well, Carol, who knows nothing about dishes, she's a dog, but she knows nothing about dishes, we get the right saying, okay, turn left, take ball, go right, place ball. And then we just call a function saying clean balls. And we put that in our code, and she would do the exact same thing. That's a function. So I wrote several functions in my code, and she would work the worlds like magic. Only one problem: she wouldn't stop, and that was the problem I was having. And I did place this one code line. I put this one code line, and it worked. My problem was we had this really huge world, and it kind of took forever. My browser was slowing down because it took so long. I had it on max speed. I planned everything out in my head. I'm kind of visual in my mind. Yes, I said I learned by hearing, but I'm actually very visual in my mind. So I like to plan things out and imagine Carol going through the world before I actually start the program. That's how I work. So I was imagining that if I placed this one code line, she would just continue going. It wouldn't stop or anything. So I tried to finish my homework because, the days when we didn't have class, John would assign us homework, which I never had before, so that was kind of cool. I don't have homework as a homeschooler. Whatever I'm doing today, that's what I do today, and that's just it. I don't have homework. I'm not saying I don't do schoolwork. I do schoolwork every day. It's just, I'm at home, so there's no need for me to, go to a place, come home, and then do school. I hope that makes sense, but the point is that we had homework, and that was cool. So I couldn't figure it out, so when it came time for class, John said, "Alright, does anyone have any problems with their code?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got a problem. Carol does everything fine except for this one little thing." And I said, if I put this code, I think she'll do, this instead. She'll just keep going. And John had said we tried about one or two things. He said, just go ahead and try the thing you think's not going to work. And, so far so good. She's getting closer to the end of the world. And he was about to kind of interject, saying like, "Oh, I think it's not going to work." He was like, no, just let it go. And it worked. I didn't think it was going to work because she's going back and forth and she wouldn't detect a wall based on how she was doing it. So she would go this way, detect a wall, stop, and turn around, which was a function, and turn this way, and there won't be a wall in front of her, so I thought she was just going to keep going and going. Turns out the minute she turned, when she was going backward, the minute she turned upward, she detected the wall above her and stopped. We had done it. And I was just like, "Oh, yes." And we both did the same thing that she was just going to keep repeating. But he said, sometimes you need to just actually do it and not keep it in your head, which is one thing I am working on. I don't just do that in coding. I do it for a lot of things where I will kind of plan things out in my head and not test it, which sometimes can be good, but sometimes it can also be bad because it means you're just always planning things in your head. And sometimes things work differently than they do in your head. And that's what I found out. So it was just really awesome. I highly recommend checking out one of their classes. If I'm being honest, yes, I know it is a little pricey, but I do recommend looking out for their scholarships they may have in the future and saving up. If your child is old enough to do some kind of work, maybe it's mowing the yard or lemonade stand or doing some chores for your neighbors, or hey, what is your child's skill? If they're doing kind of artwork, have them get commissioned by your friends or maybe your people on Facebook in your circle, if it's digital art or if it's something you can mail to them. If they have a really good voice or they sing, there's voice acting work. Have your child do something. What's your child's gift? And have them work for it. And so you can start saving up for the courses because it is worth it. Yes, I know you just heard me talk about how the first couple of days I knew what it was, but that's because of what the course was. The next course was a continuation of that. And remember, I haven't done coding in ages. So yes, I do remember some things, but there's some things I don't remember or I can't explain to myself. And there's the thing that if you can explain to someone else, it means you understand it. Because if you can't explain to someone else, it means maybe you didn't explain it right, or you didn't explain it right to their preferences. Maybe they learned by touching, or they're really visual, or the combination of something. But if you can teach someone, then you're kind of just, what's the word I'm looking for? Let's see, it's just the whole thing of that you can teach someone else. You can kind of understand it better. There we go. You understand it better because you have to kind of say it again and think about it again for someone else. So yes, I knew some things at the beginning, but I still had a really good time, and I would definitely do some of the courses they had. And they don't just do coding. They have a robotics camp, they have Arduino, which is programming, but it's more so stuff in real life. So for example, I have a toy right there. I have a toy robot right there by WowE. So it wouldn't exactly be that, but it's working with code to make stuff in the real world work. Like turning lights on, making things move. They also have some Minecraft camps, and they have some digital media camps. I'm trying to remember all the camps they have. They have a lot though. But links will be in the description below if you want to check it out. I do recommend it. And John and Kelly and Kyle and I have seen Marissa, hopefully I said it right. If you're all watching, thank you so much for the opportunity to do your class. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I know this video is kind of long. Sorry about that. I had a lot to say. But I really do appreciate it because there's really not too much here. And if you're not a researcher like me or my mom, then some people don't know where to find it. So I definitely want to spread your information out. And that's why I wanted to do this video. So people in Colorado, if you're watching, check them out, because if you're like me, you've tried summer events and had some disappointing results. Some were good, but you've also had some disappointing results. So I do recommend checking it out. And like I said earlier, I forgot to add this point on, not just working with your child's gifts to save some money, but it's an investment for your child, right? So if they're really interested in games or digital media, or if it's robotics, don't think of it as just, something they can do over the summer or spring break or fall. It's an investment to what they are interested in. I'm very fortunate to have parents who made sure I have certain products to help me, and went to certain events and watched certain things to help me fuel my interests. So it's an investment for your child if they're really interested in that. It's not just something, you go put them in there to get them out of the house or out of your hair. It's an investment for your child. So definitely consider it and think about it. That's why I said, if your child is really good at something, think about ways you can capitalize on it and possibly make a small temporary business out of. Maybe not business, that might be a little too far, but a service. There's stuff on Fiverr. But yeah, so huge thank you again to John, Kelly, Kyle, and Marissa, especially for just allowing me to do that and working with the homeschool community. I know, they said it was a little hard, but don't give up, because there's homeschoolers like me who really value it and are really appreciative of it, because sometimes we don't have access to stuff. It could either because of location, or because homeschools aren't allowed, like I said, or we don't have the budget sometimes. I'm just being honest. But yeah, thank you so much. And I hope you all enjoyed the video. Definitely, like I said, check them out in the description below. Look at their camps and let them know Vel, or they know me by Erica, let them know Vel or Erica sent you. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.